Hi, I'm Tim Burke.
And I'm Lynn Hertak.
We've both been working from home and eating most of our meals at home for the last 10 years.
So we thought we'd make some videos about how we live, with some ideas about how you might get through a lifestyle that's radically different for you right now, but it's pretty much everyday life for us.
It took us a long time to figure this out, right? I mean, this was a really difficult thing for us for a long time, and we're just hoping that there's a couple of things that we've learned how to work and live in the same space for long periods of time that we can share with you. And I think it really comes down to two things, right? It comes down to the ability to compromise, and it comes down to the ability to make a schedule that you can stick to, but that is also really flexible. And when it comes to compromise, it's really about working spaces and working styles, right? You and I have very different working styles, and the things that we do are different in the way that what I do makes a lot of noise, and you really need to work in complete silence.
Yeah, I don't even like the birds.
So this brings us to an issue when I have to work over here. I do have an office, but I can't always work out of the office. There might be work going on over there. There might be termite tenting, whatever it is. The place where I would prefer to work if I had to be here in the house would be here in the living room. But unfortunately, that's your space.
Yeah, it's also my preferred place to work. I do have a dedicated office, but it's also our everything room, our guest room and everything like that, and where all clutter goes whenever we entertain. So it just mounds up, and I find it a stressful place to work.
So what happens when I can't work out of my office and we have to try to collaborate around that? The last time this happened, we sort of mixed it up. I tried to work outside actually as much as I could when that came up. But occasionally when I'm over here, or when you have to do a conference call or something and I have to be over here making noise, you do have to go into your office. Mm-hmm. And we just sort of recognize that. In a lot of cases, you don't have an office. You might have just a bedroom. And so figure out who's the best person equipped to work out of the bedroom and who is best equipped to work out of the living room. Whatever it is, we've had to learn how to give up a lot of the things that we're accustomed to having while we're working in order to keep doing our work in the time that we've had to be in that shared space. Figure out what it is that you are most able to give up. And work with your partner to try to figure out what those things are. Sometimes compromise can be collaboration. But I think more importantly is the schedule, right? I mean, that we have had what I think is a fairly regular schedule of how we do our daily life, the tasks around the house, when we go to work, what we do, how we make our meals, and everything else. But that schedule has never been something that's pinned to any times of the day or really days of the week. All of those things have to be flexible, because while it may sound like we're shut-ins if we work from home all day and we eat all of our meals here, we're actually outside the home because we're very busy. You are vice president of the neighborhood, you're involved with city government, and I am on a theater board, and I'm involved with the League of Women Voters. We have a lot of obligations both through conference calls and everything else, and so we have to be able to round that up. So, you start the day off, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty flexible yet strict schedule. I get up in the morning, take care of the dog, come home, wake him up, and we have breakfast together. That's just a rule. We read the paper, have breakfast, talk about our day. Then we regroup again around lunch, which is flexible. It's pretty much whenever he walks through the door. And again, talk about our day. And then do work in the afternoon and get together to walk the dog, which we usually do together unless I'm working on a conference thing. So we'll go together and walk the dog, come home, and I'll make dinner. Lately, he's been taking on some of that responsibility. And then we do our evening routine, which a lot of times is him working and me doing community things or just some downtime.
And the point really is that the same events happen in the same sequence every single day, every day of the week. But those events can be shifted up or back depending on the circumstances that we need to deal with. For example, when you have city variance review board meetings, we have to take the dog out and we have to eat earlier. Mm-hmm. And when I have a League of Women Voters meeting, we do all those things later. But they still happen in the same sequence. We stick to them every day. And it's really important for maintaining some level of stability in your household that you set those things up. The other thing that I sort of figured out, and I wasn't really thinking about this before, is that, in a lot of newsrooms, we traditionally have like a morning editorial meeting and an afternoon editorial meeting. And we sort of have a morning editorial meeting here in the house and then an afternoon editorial. We do it after we have breakfast and we talk about, okay, what's the morning look like? What sort of things might we have to accommodate? And then we do it again after lunch and we figure things out from there.
Well, I mean, it's a routine, but it's not a routine, and it's also really important for our relationship because we have found that if we schedule times to spend together, that we know that we'll at least see each other during that part of the day. We can look forward to that, and it kind of I feel, for me at least, it grounds me.
But I think one of the really important things is that we establish, even though they're not set times, we know the zones when we're in work mode and when we're in family mode.
Yeah.
And that we know what our obligations are to work, we know what our obligations are to the household, and we can take care of those things in that order every day, but not on a specific schedule. And I think that's what the sort of, the oxymoron or the contradiction of what it means to have a strict schedule that's flexible. That's what we figured out what we have to do. And that's the lifestyle that we live every day, and it's how we've managed to make it work in this household. So really it's two things, right? It's the ability to compromise and it's setting up that sort of rigid but flexible schedule. That's how we've been able to get through this. And I think that's how you're probably going to be able to get through it with your partner in your household, as long as we're stuck in this situation. But there's probably a lot of other questions that you have, and I really want to hear from you. We both want to hear from you. Find me on Twitter and ask me questions at Bubba Prog.
At Pen Loves Paper.
And we'll make our next video responding to whatever questions that you have about those things.
Thanks.